Pass me the light bulb, Thomas. You've already fucked it up 10,000 times. I'm not trusting you anymore. You're not really a Sparky, are you, bro? Welcome to Simplified Sparky Marketing. Today's intro into the podcast was speaking about Thomas Edison inventing the light bulb. He didn't say he failed 10,000 times. He said that was just 10,000 ways that it didn't work to create the light bulb. And that just goes to show it. Keep on going. Give it a crack. If it doesn't work the first time, keep going and make it work. Obviously, it wasn't 10,000 times. It was just a nice number that he pulled out of the fucking air. Let's get into the podcast. Today's podcast has been inspired by one of my members that I've mentioned on Instagram as well, that I'm extremely proud of. And he is finally taking the leap, and he is stepping away from the tools with his boss, and he is jumping in his own truck, and he's hitting the ground running in Melbourne as an electrician, an electrical contractor, earning his own income and stepping away from the comfort zone of wages. And if you have, most of you listen to the podcast to start the business, and if you can rewind back to when you did start it, of how daunting it actually is, and it's a real nervy one to take the leap of a comfortable wage coming in every week without fail, depending on your employer. If he's a dickhead, you're not getting paid every week. Maybe that's why you started your business. But most people will be getting a stable wage and a real comfort zone. And that is what starting your business is jumping out of a comfort zone. And that's what I'm going to dig into today. The real question really is, like, when is the right time to start your business? And realistically, there's no right or wrong time. Some people just kind of fall into this and start accidentally. Maybe they were left out of a job, redundant. They were sacked because, like me, it's like, I don't like being told what to do. And if you've got that mentality, which most of you listen to the podcast have, if you're a business owner, that's most likely why you started your business. You don't like to follow direction from others. You want to do your own thing, run your own race, run your own business. And some people fall into it, some people plan it, but there is a theory out there which I love, and it's called a midwit theory. So a midwit, almost like a fuckwit, is just an idiot in the middle of the scale. So if you can picture this, the left-hand side has got a really stupid guy on the left. The middle has got the midwit, who's not really stupid, just very kind of cautious, doesn't have enough information, isn't the dumbest, but isn't the smartest, and they sit in the middle. And then up the other end of the right-hand side of the scale, you've got the genius. So the genius is the person that dots the I's, crosses the T's, makes sure everything is smick before they start their business, and they will thrive in business. And then down the opposite end of the scale, you've got the guy on the left that doesn't have a clue. And we all know this person. We all know a person like this that is on the opposite end of the scale, that isn't the smartest cookie, and they've started a business. And for whatever fucking reason, they're just succeeding and they're doing really, really well in business. And it's like, how the fuck are they succeeding? And it's because the person on the left-hand side of the scale, let's just call them the dunce, they don't overthink things. They don't think, what's going to fail? I am going to fail. This isn't going to work. They basically think, they don't think. That's why they succeed, is they don't overthink things. They just go, fuck it, just give it a go, see what happens. And those people become really successful in business because they don't take calculated risks. They just basically wing it. And some of the time it fails, most of the time it works out. And then you move to the opposite end of the scale of the genius, and they're those people that just absolutely excel at business because they've dotted the I's, crossed the T's, done their research, put everything in place, and they're succeeding in business. Where a lot of people, including myself, I would have said myself is a midwit in the middle of, you know enough stuff that you can start the business, but you hold back. And then at the same time, you're worried that it's going to fail or it's not going to work out, or somebody looking in from the outside is going to have a really good laugh when my business fails. And I mean, I get that as well, because there's people following me on Instagram that want me to fail as well, and they're going to be waiting a long time because I'm determined. And look, I get that. You're always going to have people begrudging you, or people that may not like you, looking in at your business and saying, I hope they fucking fail. And it's your duty and your job to say fuck you, and you're going to prove them wrong, and you're going to start that business and you're going to succeed. The pathway I would tell you to go down is, firstly, make sure you've got enough money put aside. This is a big mistake people make, is they jump ship too early, and it mightn't be their fault. Maybe they're made redundant, etc. That they start the business not out of choice but necessity, and they just say, fuck it, I'm going to wing it and start my own business. But what I would do is strategically plan when you're going to leave. Give yourself something like 5 or 6 months, and whatever wages you're earning with your boss, save them and put them into your business when you start it. Have money to start your business. You don't want to start the business, not have enough money for the proper tools, the proper uniform, proper signwriting, like even a half handy, nice vehicle that looks professional to start with. You don't want a beat up Hiace that's dripping oil in people's driveways. So that would be step one, is save enough money that you can successfully run the business and have a cushion that if you're having a few down days that you don't have a full week booked out, that's when you work in your business. But enjoy the down days and implement and do and get stuff done in those down days. Next up would be speak and liaise with electrical contractors in your area, friends of friends, people that have their business, and ask them if they're looking for a subcontractor. Now, I don't know what subcontractors are making. It can be anywhere from $50 to $80 an hour. If it's in the $50 side of things, it's absolutely shocking when you do weigh it up. Don't be fooled by that. When you start getting paid the $50 directly into your bank account or whatever, that's pre-tax money as well. So if you actually do the calculations on it, you are far better working on wages than getting $50 an hour. So don't fall into that trap of jumping ship and just going full subcontracting for a week. Yes, $50 to $70 multiplied by 38 hours a week or whatnot. That looks impressive in your bank account, but that's pre-tax money that you owe tax on. And then unless you spend that money, you're going to have to pay tax on it. Or else you're going to have to pay your wages and then you pay the tax on that. So don't fall into that trap. What I would suggest is, if you're looking to subcontract, is aim for 1 day and do 2 days max, because when you get comfortable subcontracting, it actually takes away from you again working on getting your own clients, your own work coming in the door. So if you get comfortable and you're working 5 days a week subcontracting, again, you're right back where you are working on wages. You're working for somebody else. They're calling the shots. They're telling you what to do. They're feeding you work. Whereas if you had have planned this out, or you took a day, 1 day of the week, like a Wednesday, if you're quiet that day, implement stuff. There's loads of stuff out there. Go to the backlog of these podcasts, nearly 100 podcasts there. Listen to those, get on my email series, implement that stuff into your business. And that's when you can start thriving in business, is when you implement and do. You build your own business, not the person you're subcontracting for. I want to give you a warning and tell you a story as well about my subcontracting experience. So when I started the business, I say it was only a month or two in, through a friend of a friend, I started subcontracting for a guy, and he booked me out for 2 days. So I was like, oh, brilliant, I've got 2 days work subcontracting. So I went to the site where he said, and the gist of the job was installing maybe 8 or 10 weatherproof power points inside in this strata block for these gas heaters that we were putting in. The gas heaters were put in, we were just putting in the power points for them. I kind of looked at the job and I was like, no way is there 2 days work here for 2 qualified guys and an apprentice. So we started the job. He went off and got material, came back, and we had the whole thing knocked out in about 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours. I think it was about 4 hours. So I was like, sweet, where are we kind of going to next, or what's happening tomorrow? And he was like, oh, you may as well go home. It's all good. And I was like, okay, where do you need me tomorrow? He goes, oh, no, I don't really need you tomorrow, actually. So not sure it's for that, but yeah, just send the bill for that. And I was like, really pissed off to start with. And then I said, so I presume it's for a full day today? And he was like, no, man, that's not really how subbing works. So I basically booked out 2 days for this guy, and I earned about $200 odd for driving 30 minutes, doing 4 hours work and driving back. Like, when I look back on that, it's funny. These are the lessons that you learn, and these are the lessons that I'm kind of hoping that you take from this. Yeah, $200 and 2 days booked out of my schedule, and it didn't give me enough time to drum up the work I needed to have the next day as well. But it was really shitty form from him, and it's just something to be aware of as well. As if somebody does book you out for a day or 2 days, you want a solid agreement that if you book me for 2 days, if you don't have the work, that's on you. You want, if for 2 days you want 16 hours pay, for 1 day you want 8 hours pay. Just have an agreement with them before you do actually fall into that trap. Obviously, there's a lot of things that you need to do the research and figure out that you have to set up, like your public liability, your workers' comp, all your insurances, stuff like that you have to get in order. Register a company contractor's license, which not many people know. They go off, they get their individual contractor's license, they register a PTY LTD company, and they don't have a contractor's license for that company as well. Those little things you need to figure out, you need to find out, but this is all the stuff you need to be building in the 4 to 6 month lead before you jump ship and start your business. These are all little things you have to obviously put in place. Well, it's not obvious, I'll be honest. you've got to figure these things out and you've got to put them into place before you take that jump. But they're the kind of things you need to be doing. That's the downtime that you need, that when you do actually have those all in place, you can comfortably jump across and start your business. People often say that with kids, there's no right or wrong time to have them. That's questionable. But when people are like, oh, I'll have kids next year, maybe in a month's time or whatever, there's no right or wrong time to have kids. And it's very similar to your electrical business. There's no right or wrong time to start your electrical business, because if you keep procrastinating about it, you keep thinking like, it's going to be really hard, I'm going to fail. There's loads of resource and stuff out there, so you're not going to fail. It's just a case of implementing them. And that's what I want you to take from this podcast today is jump, take the leap. It will succeed. And if it doesn't, for whatever reason, you can always go back with your employer. And that's why it's very important that you leave on a good note. You tell him that you're leaving in 3 months. You may not even have to tell him you're starting your own business. Depends on the area or whatever. But let him know in plenty notice, even if it's a month. But if you've been plotting it with 6 months, but you tell him with a month to go, which is probably the safe way to do it, it will just keep the bridge alive that if it does backfire and it doesn't work out for you, you can always go back on wages. You've got your electrical license. You've got your tools. You can always take a step backward, but you won't have to worry about that. As long as you do things correctly, you start your business correctly, get everything in order, you're going to succeed. My sole purpose of this podcast today is to help the midwits, the people that are sitting on the fence and that are afraid to jump, that are itching, they want to do it, but they're like, I'll do it next month. I've got this on. I've got a wedding next month. I'm going on holidays the month after. You have to take a jump and leap and get started, and it will give me ultimate satisfaction if somebody sends me a DM in a few months' time or a few weeks' time or next week and they say, fuck it, off the back of what you said in the podcast, it's giving me the confidence, giving me the belief that I can do this. I'm going to jump ship and start my electrical business. And that shit, ladies and gentlemen, is what gives me fucking purpose in life. I love this shit. I love helping electricians and I'm looking for those DMs. That's it for this week. Hit the stars. It helps greatly with the podcast and I'll chat to you next week.